Hello there, Kyrgyzstan. My name's Jordan Curl. I'm an American, originally raised in North Dakota, but spent some time in California, San Diego, Camp Pendleton, and then worked in cannabis in Oregon, Washington, and California for almost the better part of, or almost a full decade, from medical cannabis all the way to recreational cannabis. I am a veteran of the war in Afghanistan. I'm also an alcoholic and a medical patient. So I've been technically a medical patient since I was 12 years old when I discovered cannabis. They had me on a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, Ritalin, basically very high doses for a young 6 to 12-year-old to be taking. And when I found medical cannabis, I realized that I could sleep at night. My insomnia went away. My OCD stopped happening. My nausea wasn't a problem. I was able to socialize, interact, and enjoyed education and school a lot better because I was no longer on speed in a sense. So it's a very interesting thing that cannabis really improved my quality of life at such a young age that I became an advocate. So since I was 13, 14, 15, I've been writing letters to my senators, to my governors, my states. Even though I just got auto responses, like I always do is pushing for medical cannabis as well as the growing of hemp because my home state is very agriculturally focused state and hemp would be very profitable for it. After that, when I was 17, I enlisted in the Marine Corps and I joined the Marine Corps Infantry for just about almost 4 years. I was a infantry assaultman, which means I was a door breacher and basically a combat engineer, sapper kind of role. I carried around a sledgehammer and a rocket launcher, broke doors in, blew things up. I'm a veteran of the war in Afghanistan, and so I have a genetic history of alcoholism in my family. From both my mother and fathers are alcoholics who have been in recovery now for. My father is going on, I think, 38 years, and my mother's at 32 years. And so I was actually raised in the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so my parents told me since I was 6, you're going to be an alcoholic. So you throw that on top of, PTSD, anxiety, OCD, everything else that I've already deal with. Cannabis helped a lot with that before I was in the military service. And actually, the reason I didn't like the military and the Marine Corps is because I couldn't smoke cannabis. That actually caused me to actually drink more, and especially with military culture, being okay with alcohol, I had a huge problem with it, and instead of people seeking or trying to give me help for it, it was either hidden away or kind of wrote off as young, just young behavior. But I was definitely an alcoholic by the time I was like 15 and 16, and I think especially being in the military, not having access to cannabis really messed me up because it also sent me down the road to try synthetic cannabinoids, which was really not as healthy as it should have been. There's no quality control. I mean, especially living in California, it doesn't make sense to buy synthetic cannabinoids when you can have really good medical cannabis. So as soon as I got out of the military service, I got my medical card and became a medical patient and immediately started working in the industry. I got my start originally learning how to make edibles for cancer patients in San Diego. And then after I got out of the service, I even told my commander, hey, I'm going to grow medical cannabis. And the next day, I got a urinalysis test to see if I had been smoking. Which, it's been over 10 years now. I can say, yeah, on the weekends, I would, like, not weekends, but when it came to leave blocks, I would smoke cannabis because it was my one little escape. But that was a long time ago, and now I have the luxury of being a cannabis professional. After getting out of the service, I ended up attempting to go to school, but what ended up happening is I got into medical cannabis in California, Oregon, and Washington, mainly in Seattle. I became a medical grower for patients with HIV, wasting disease, cancer, people going through chemotherapy. Basically, just a small-time grower. I took a mentorship, and the next thing you knew, we ended up having a few different grow houses, and I was really into extractions and the medicinal side, and so it was a veterans co-op. So all I did was hire and train and educate other veterans on how to do cannabis things, because the cannabis plant started providing for me. Not only was I able to quit drinking and smoking, because when I moved to the state of Washington, I had my card. I had as much cannabis as I could smoke. So whenever I had an urge or an inclement to want to drink, I would roll a joint. If I want to have a cigarette, I roll a joint, and it worked really well. I managed to stay clean and sober without any kind of like AA program for a good 3 or 4 years. But of course, without like some kind of like power or help, outside yourself, and proper social support, as an alcoholic, things happen, and I've relapsed before, but it's always the cannabis that brings me back around, and that's so it's a constant struggle every day. I'm now almost after almost being 2 years of sober. This COVID made me relapse once, which hey, everybody makes mistakes. But if it wasn't for the cannabis, I would be I'd be drinking still. So, and I'm hoping that it doesn't happen again, because I wanted to get one last drink in before I turn 30. So now I'm officially 30 and no sober for the rest of my life, or at least for today. One day at a time. I try not to be too over anxious about it. But basically, I have my medical card for PTSD, as well as like normalized back pain. The military service, I would normally be on multiple medications, for like probably benzodiazepines, as well as say even antipsychotics, anticonvulsions, opiates. It's a very big problem because of the pharmaceutical industry in America. There's definitely, because the Veterans Association is one of the only forms of socialized healthcare that we have. Like whenever a contract is made with the VA, like they really push those medications heavily, right? So like the VA also really contributed to the opioid epidemic around 2011-12, because before they really had an understanding of PTSD and mental health, a lot of the doctors would just basically just